Hi, people. It's Jason Wampler. Another episode of the Rocket Minute. Um, you know what? I've taken two steps today. I backpedaled on one of them. It seems that, well, shucks. You know, if you can't beat them, join them. Is a kind of a theme. Um, I was supposed to upload a video of dinosaur psychology. I do not want to be drawn into the arena of politics. Uh, I am not a threat to the U.S. government. I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm a Christian minister. I'm a peaceful individual. I don't like any unlawful or disorderly conduct or behavior. I don't even like arguing with my neighbors. I owe a lot of people money. I've crashed and failed an automotive repair business because it's not really something that I had any right or purpose or talent or passion to do to begin with. I am passionate about rockets. So we're going to get into something. When I'm going to continue building this twin-engine rocket. However, I'm going to change my methods of fabrication and manufacturing. Hey, folks, when I educate you on how to build a twin-engine rocket, I can't be in violation of NARA AAA laws myself. The honest to goodness truth, you start seeing the reasons for obeying the rules and abiding by standards and regulations, codes of conduct, but also codes of engineering and fabrication and building and design, all related to building a rocket. This tube is, guess what? It's made out of metal. That's a violation of the laws. I'm not going to teach you to make a practice of violating NARA AAA law. And guess what? I am going to, in front of you, dismantle this. Look at that. Double-sided tape is still intact. I can reuse that, but I'm going to show you what it is that I'm going to reuse it on. And this tube, however, is made out of metal. You can, however, you can use metal for hardware for recovery systems. Metal tray, a light and aluminum tray, light and metal tray, support a circuit board for an event timer. Oh, look at that, my lights are flickering because the drawing the electricity from the machines used in the washing machine area, the laundromat is what they're called. No technical term for that. But I'm going to go ahead and take these off. It's kind of taken off a little bit of this double-sided tape. So that is an unfortunate business. Okay, so this metal tube that I've sanded down and finished, I'm going to use this instead for anything that I might need internally for the rockets with regards to supporting the recovery system or avionics. So that's where you can use metallic parts, preferably lightened aluminum and well deep inside the rocket vehicle, to where if something happens to the rocket, it comes down and hits the ground at a terminal velocity, which is I believe about 93 miles an hour. It's not going to do significant damage to people or the environment, anything on or around the launch site itself. And it's really, really helpful to from time to time, bone up on literature with regards to practicing the sport of rocketry safely. I don't want to contribute to any stigmas or prejudices based on negative experiences or misunderstandings surrounding sport rocketry. I love and support the sport. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to espouse on personal opinions on world affairs, political, religious, commercial, or whatever. I need to keep my mouth shut and just focus on being an online educator and rocket designer. I want to help people out, and that's what I'm going to do. I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm a Christian. I'm trying to be a Christian. Very difficult in these last days. I'm not a white mushroom. I'm an imperfect individual, but I try my best and I work very hard, and I want to help people. I want to help people understand that if you have inclinations towards the engineering disciplines, then do what you can to try and pursue that and get your education. I am as well. I counted at 35 units in industrial design engineering. Unfortunately, the school I was getting that degree at, my bachelor's in industrial design engineering, it closed down, at least on the West Coast. So, I have to go somewhere else. Somebody was trying to rope me. Oh, look at that. Somebody was trying to rope me into going to Arizona State University for my MBA. But I got to be honest with you folks, I know enough about business to get by. What I really want to do is complete my degree in industrial design engineering, which is the more inventive, creative, designer side of any and all the industrial design, or excuse me, any of all the engineering disciplines. Industrial design is the more artistic form of engineering itself, which suits me just perfectly. It seems that myself and industrial design engineering were designed for each other. So I do have a little loop of straggled tape. Unfortunately, that is going to create a problem. But before I address that, I'm going to use the two motor pods. This center section itself is going to be it's made out of gray PVC. It's thick, it's heavy, it's strong, but it's brittle. It doesn't bend, it breaks. It's just more designed for heavy-duty electrical and or commercial heavy-duty electrical work and commercial heavy-duty irrigation and gardening applications. So for buildings, gray PVC, depending on what you get and where you get it from, it can be very, very expensive. It is heavy. It doesn't come in thin walls. Thinnest wall gray PVC you're going to get is 1/4 inch. So I think that's industry standard. That's how it goes. But this is a part of the rocket's airframe that needs to be the strongest. Unfortunately, it has to be the heaviest. So with this rocket airframe's individual motors, which are right over where I used to put them before, and where the heck are they now? Because I think maybe my kitty cats are sleeping on them, and they're bad. They're bad little kitties. What did I decide to use? I swear I decided to use the little silver motors. Now where the heck are they? You guys, are you sleeping on those things? Come on. Are you two not still sleeping on it? Just how the little rocket motors go. Well, you know what? They're right where I put them. Cats aren't sleeping on them. By the way, folks, if you can see them, those black masses there are a collection of electrical cords, a black 1/4, 1/3 sheet sander, and somewhere in between that black mass are two actual life forms, two cats. The one licking the other, if you can see that, is Valencia. The one being licked is Paxton, her brother, her adoptive brother. It's a whole weird story. It's you know, the story of cats around my apartment complex could be just as complicated as a general hospital or Days of Our Lives. I mean, I could really, we can direct a soap opera regarding cats, you know. But what happened to Donna, you know? And Nora's having a hard time maintaining her distance from Valencia's would-be lover, Leonard. And what about Missy? What was that blood in the back of somebody's yard? Who got killed? What was that fighting I heard last night? You know, it's a whole feline drama soap opera thing going on in my apartment complex. I'm not kidding, man. I could go on about that. But this is about rockets. No, and these two cats behave themselves, but they really bother me around 6 a.m. running around with their eyes bugging out because I need to feed them. And I always have to urinate at least 5 times in the morning because it waits until that time because that's how my body is training me. And it irritates me because it keeps getting me up out of bed when I'm on a turtle in the morning. I end up getting up late, or between 8:30 and 9 a.m., but I end up staying up till 3 a.m. working. I need to shoot this video, but while I'm shooting these videos, I'm building rockets. I've simplified the fabrication. Here's what's changed. In addition to me getting rid of that, in addition to me getting rid of this as part of the airframe, instead sticking to using this as launch lug material or anything else I might need for the avionics or recovery system, I'm using this material. That's the first change. Second change is really exciting. I got a bunch of store credit from Lowe's. I want to show you something. It's called the PVC cutter. It goes up to, it handles material up to 1 5/8. You can get these at Lowe's, I kid you not, for about $15, $14 and change. So a little under $15. I'm not going to advocate visiting. I'm not going to advocate visiting visiting Home Depot anymore. Home Depot, I'm just having too many problems with them. A lot of really bad attitudes in customer service, and people talking down to me when they know I'm a regular customer. I don't understand how that works, except to say familiarity breeds contempt. These are 9-to-5ers. They're not generals. They're worker bees. They don't understand what it takes to run and maintain a business and make it profitable. I don't hold that against them, but all the same, if your boss sees you behaving like that and treating a client like that, and they understand what it's like and how tough it is to run a business and maintain it and keep your head above water financially, they wouldn't tolerate that behavior. So I do complain, and complaints work. Complaint is a negative word with a negative stigma. I complained about Harbor Freight again because I was getting a little bit of negative treatment from some of the folks at the Harbor Freight in Anaheim on Orange Thorpe. I called in customer service. I voiced a complaint. And folks, the key to complaining, or key to voicing a customer complaint is this: build yourself up in the eyes of the individual taking taking the complaint. Be aware of and be composed and comported. Be diplomatic, but be firm. Be absolutely positively honest. Leave out your personal opinions and castigations of the other person's character strength. And just say they weren't professional. They weren't treating me properly. I understand what it's like to run a business. And I do. I've been self-employed since I was 16 years old. Not successfully. Oh well, I'm still an entrepreneur. I don't care. Do what you love what you do, never work a day in your life. That's my whole story. That's how I manage my stress. That plus, medications for insomnia and such and so forth. They're prescribed medications, I can assure you. But the thing is, you maintain your diplomacy, you be firm, you be polite, you be controlled and mature. Show a sincere interest in the person taking the complaint. Show them that you're on their side. You value their support and their assistance. You tell them you like their company. You're going to keep doing business with them. Don't make threats. Don't voice character aspersions on the person who's trying to help you with a customer complaint. Be diplomatic. Be polite. Show sincere concern for a diplomatic process of filing a complaint, and you will get results. My grandmother always says always said before she passed away, you catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. This tool right here, you are watching history in the making, at least the micro version of history. This tool is said to cut straight cuts. Okay, so I hear Leonard meowing outside. He either wants food or sex or both. He's not going to get either. Not when I'm Leonard the cat, by the way. I just want to make sure to clarify that. I am not homosexual. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Well, I'm heterosexual. I'll keep my mouth shut on that as well. Wow. Either that, or that sounds like it could be Nora. Nora's mother's been pregnant 3 times in the last 7 months. How that works, I do not know. This is how these tools work, and I want to try this out right now. How much of a section is this going to take? We'll find out right now. There you go. Okay, here we go. I want to see a straight cut. I can always use the block sander to square out the cut, but these are internal parts, and frankly, the way they cut is, in that the edge at which they cut is not critical because there's nothing visual. Well, it's a nice clean cut, but it's not entirely square. I don't know if you can see there's kind of an angle on that. Yeah, there's an angle on it. I'm not gonna squirm or be concerned about that. However, the mating side of that cut on this stick, it also has that angle in it because obviously it cut through the same angle as the other end of the part before I cut it. I'm going to cut the other side. I'm going to show you what I'm going to use these 2 ends for. So this is a dual-purpose piece of material. I got it for less than $4. Actually, yeah, I got it for a little over $4, almost like $5. Maybe like $5 and change. I don't remember. From Lowe's. And Lowe's has everything you need. Their tool brands are much more desirable. However, you know what? I see what happened. This is a small diameter pipe. I did not cradle this in the tool carefully, and you've got to ratchet this down. So if you can see this, I'm just going to go ahead and sit down. I don't know why in the world I'm standing. I'm afraid you guys can't see me from 2 feet farther away, and that was a joke. If you can't notice my redneck looks, I think that you need to pay a visit to the optometrist and get your eyes fixed. I can concentrate on cutting the square. The problem is this saddle is so large that the subject can wobble and be off angle. 2 different axes, unfortunately, and that's too wide. I don't want to cut it that far. Okay, so here we go. It ratchets down, clean, controlled cut. Wow, you are yowling really, really loud. I'm almost positive that's Leonard. Leonard always comes this time. I don't think that Nora comes around. She still has a few kittens left over from the last batch that she tends to. So she doesn't really go out at night as much. They're almost close to the same size. You know what? I can get another one of these with a smaller cutting saddle. Dang, dude, can you keep it down? I'm shooting a video. Can you hear him? And let me look. I'm pretty sure that is Leonard. Boy, he whines. I'm not going to take a break just to feed you. Hey, dude, hold on. You know what, guys? I'll just put the pan out there so he shuts up. He's actually yelling really loud. Boy, he can interrupt the video. You hear me echoing. I'm a little frustrated. He's a loud cat. Hold on, Leonard. Just have to feed the whole neighborhood of cats, don't I? Jeez. Here. Go ahead. That's all you get. Don't bother me. Shooting. You know, cats who read the English language or put a sign up, a sign that says, do not on air, do not disturb. You know what? Some human beings wouldn't be able to read that either. So I think it'd be a wasted effort. Yeah. Okay. 2 motor inserts for these 2 units right here. We're gonna use the old method. I'm not using double-sided tape to mount these. I'm using fiberglass tape and cyanoacrylate. I want a tight fit. I want to revisit the technique for that. I want to get these guys probably right up to the beginning of the NPT threads on the piece itself, flush both sides. But since I've got double-sided tape, I'm kind of wondering whether or not it would be a good idea to install these first and then mount these tubes on the frame, on the center secondary airframe, or if I should just mount these guys the center section airframe and then install these tubes. And I'm just thinking to myself, so give me a second, I gotta figure this out. This is engineering. This is a process engineering method. Process being what do you assemble first and what's easier and faster and lighter, stronger and less expensive. That's the whole theme of engineering. The whole accounting department, they hold too much sway over engineering, but they're the ones who give the engineering parameters. But when you start stepping over from other departments and putting on the smock of an engineer when you're a lawyer or you're an executive, you start making disastrous mistakes. If you're an engineer, do your job. If you're a lawyer, do your job. If you're an accountant or a marketing executive, do your job. Don't do somebody else's job. It is foolish. I'm just thinking. And you know what I'm thinking at this point in time? I'm thinking it'd be better to mount these motor tubes to the centralized secondary fuselage. For these guys, to just go ahead and just rough mount them into the actual motors themselves. This is really cheap aluminum. I simply cannot manage to get an acceptable finish on these. I got down past what looked like, you know what? I know what it is. These aluminum tubes were anodized with aluminum colored anodizing paint. So it looked like natural aluminum. It wasn't. It was a coating of anodized, aluminum anodized paint, colored to look like the material underneath. So that's why I'm having a hard time getting an even finish. Anodizing aluminum is a great idea, except in the case where you need to refinish it again because it's being repurposed. It's being used not as a pair of crutches or a walker that nobody wants that I found on the side of the road, but instead is being used for rocket motor housings. So let me back this down and see this. Okay, so now I'm thinking this is a better way because I want to make sure and measure the set distance before I set these in and glue these in place. If I glue these in place with these right here, I have to measure the set distance, but without the motors attached, there still may be an unevenness between the set distance because the motors, the individual fittings, the male and female, maybe only be able to run in so far. So I want the final set distance, which is, for example, this plus that resting on this airframe. I want the pant length to even up so that the two motors stick out the same distance. And guess what? I just realized something. I can go back to using that metal piece I removed as a launch lug tube for this piece right here. And I just noticed something else. This piece still has a sticker on it, and that bugs the living daylights out of me. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that off as well. One more thing I discovered I think I should go over. It's 8:39 p.m. so my upstairs neighbors aren't going to mind if I just give this down a quick rough sand to go ahead and rough up the surface. A little known fact, folks, mass manufacturers of any type of plastic or polymer products made from, what do they call it? I keep remembering petroleum distillate based products, which is pretty much what all plastics are made of and are come from, except for what do we call it, epoxy-based resin plastics, because epoxy resin actually is either, it can be synthetic, but mostly it comes from tree sap, which spares the use of crude oil and manufacture of similar plastic products. I'm not for or against that. I'm not an environmental warrior. However, if you want political commentary on the statutes of the environment, or the manifest an environmental warrior, I suggest you explore YouTube in all its splendor and all 10 million individual YouTube channels that you have access to. YouTube is actually wonderful. It is the last bastion of free speech, and I most certainly hope that it doesn't get shut down in an attempt to restrict what I would call the concept of free speech. But again, I'm not a political activist, I'm not a politician, I'm none of that. I am going to put this in an area that will cover up even the residue of the, no, I've got to do what I say I'm going to do. This is the other one with the damaged section of double-sided tape. I think what I'll do, instead of replacing, I'll just cut this out. The double-sided tape is a temporary mounting mechanism. We're going to be using cyanoacrylate super glue to finalize the position of these. But let's do this first. The cats aren't going to really like this. Neighbors may not either. It's getting close to 9 o'clock, and even I don't like to really use power tools after 9 o'clock. So I'm thinking, no. Oh, my discussion about release wax, mold release wax. These parts, these manufacturers of these parts, my God, I went off on a train of thought. I let the train tracks run out, and the train went over in the ditch. This, what you're feeling is mold release wax on the surface of these parts. If you don't rough it or scuff it up a little bit, the paint, not the paint, the adhesive, the tapes, the super glue, it's going to stick to the coating of mold release wax. It's not going to stick to the actual material itself. So you're going to have issues with these motor pods separating. So in an effort to not be, I'm sorry guys, I'm really sorry, not be a hypocrite, stick to my word, and cover my little apple green tabletop with all sorts of goodies and tools, I'm going to do just that. And what I'm going to do to assist in this, and how shall I say, lower the feeling of guilt, I'm actually going to close that window. I passed that separately did. I'm also going to drink this Langer straight from the bottle. There you go. Layers. Pure fruit juice and sugar. Sorry guys, I really am. The cats are not gonna like this. Here we go. You gotta rough the surface up. Get rid of the mold release wax. Get down to the sanded surface of the plastic itself, because that's what you're going to be adhering the motor tubes to. And everything else as well. You need to have the material surface that it sticks to, not the wax and the paint. You got to remove that, including anodization on aluminum surfaces. Anodization is not meant to adhere to other parts, or other unpainted parts. You have to remove the anodization of the part itself. Otherwise, you're going to have the same problem when you're drilling a heavy object to a painted surface. The heavy object is going to be glued to the paint, not the material underneath. So don't make that mistake. I'm thinking that Dad, it's the tools in the car. My cats aren't freaking out. At this point in time, they're pretty much used to my bustling, busy lifestyle. The thing is with animal psychology and animal behavior, that the more you're home, the more you work from home, the more time you spend around animals, and you show them, you expose them to your work environment, the more likely they are to be comfortable, even if you're running dry tools. Cats are resilient to a point. They're not as tough as dogs, but that's okay. Dogs are a lot more maintenance. Cats are independent, so they potty train themselves and teach themselves how to do things. They don't need to be trained, they just do things on their own. First time that a little bit, I should let it spin. Need something to put more severe spin and cut on it. And look at that. Paxton has got his head inserted into a power cord loop with the drill. I invented a tool. I kind of do want to show you that. Show you how to make money. And of course, Valencia is laying on her brother's stomach because that makes an excellent pillow. You know, your sibling's stomach as a pillow, taking a nap early evening to prepare for late night festivities, as these cats have established their own schedule. When I'm sleeping, they're awake. When I'm awake, they're sleeping. Don't ask, I won't tell. I just like to be with my children. But like I said, the more you're with animals at home, the more you're around them, you expose them to your work environment, the more they get used to it. Cats can actually get used to a fairly wild, loud environment, but they need to get used to it. They need to give them time to get used to it. Anyway, that's not animal psychology. It's not what this video is about. Okay, I'm going to close that tool up. Excuse me for a second, because I'm going to go ahead and water and cut this down. I've got a cheap pair of shoes, so I don't have to go through the process of putting on socks. I have flip-flops right now. I'll be right back. I'm just going to wash and throw this down real quick. Anyway, these are model rockets designed to run on motors that are sub level 2 certification. We'll talk about level 1 and level 1 certification. We'll talk about level 1 and level 2 certification later. Let's teach you the basics of building rockets. I'm finally getting my act together after all these years. I'm such an indisciplined individual. Let's close the door. Sure, get the right angle on the camera. Camera's attached to the double-sided tape-mounted clamp. And I gotta tell you, the door serves just as well as a tripod. Okay, so now I have the right to call myself a non-hypocrite. And they're like, is this guy gonna shut up? Hey guys, no more power tools, I promise. I don't want to disturb you. You know, for whatever reason, I respect the rights and freedoms of almost every single living animal on the planet, including cockroaches. Every living being on this planet has a dedicated purpose. Human beings are the wild card. Their job figuring that out is a little bit more complex, but I gotta be honest with you. I'm always honest with you. That's for them and not me to decide. I'm responsible for myself. I'm responsible for the kitties, and that is it. I'm also responsible to be an educator, to teach this discipline accurately. I just took this out of the way. It stuck the other surface instead of removing itself peacefully. That almost sounds like another act of political commentary on itself. Okay, so what do we decide? Honest to goodness truth is, I say that, these motors are going to end up sticking out in certain ways. And you know what I'm going to do? Okay, so Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to end up placing this with this motor loosely installed in here. Now I got to be honest with that. I'm always being honest with you. Jason, stop saying that.
Power off.
That was my Bluetooth speaker, wireless speaker for the phone. How the hell is that going to affect things? The thing just turned off. Well, obviously it's not involved because it thought it wasn't being used. They do that. On speaker, I think it was like 15, 20 bucks. It was like 10 or 12 bucks from well, of all places, Walblart. Okay. So now this is where the tricky part comes in. You don't want one white circle closer to each other closer to one side than the other. You want these two white circles to be mounted on the fuselage, and you want them mounted in such a way they're 180 degrees opposite of each other. And 180 degrees is basically half of the circle, which is 360 degrees. If one's 179 degrees, the other one's 181. Those are not corresponding numbers. That means the two circles are not equidistant and not mounted properly. You're going to have handling and flight characteristic quirks if you don't do this correctly. And remember what I told you too. This is imperative. The tape, the double-sided tape, you want it to be as least as visible as possible. But we have a way to correct that issue as well, and I will show you that. It involves an extra step if you're involved with the aesthetics, the way your rocket appears. I'm just worried about its functionality. This is an experimental design in the sense that this is the first time I built a 2-engine rocket in probably about 20 years. The last time I did, I was at Plaster Blaster. Plaster Blaster, because it was right after my level 2 certification. Andy Werner is truly the master of disaster at Plaster Blaster, and I love the guy. He's great. I don't know if he's still around. I don't know, but it'd be nice if he reached out. Funny thing is, the Russia's N-1 rocket is a beautiful disaster. Russia's space program, after their first rocket, the rocket with 25 smaller rocket motors on it, which is way too many. That rocket, it's a Soyuz rocket, S-O-Y-U-Z, Soyuz program. I actually call it the Honglut, H-O-N-G-L-U-T, but that's probably an abusive word. That's probably a cuss word in Eastern European language. So I'm going to quit saying that. The Soyuz rocket was and still is in use in Russia. And in my opinion, between that and the Buran, the unmanned space shuttle without wings, those two space programs and Russia's satellites are absolutely it. They're the only two successes that Russia's had in space vehicles or in rocket vehicles. Their pool of talent has migrated to Western Europe and the United States. Russia cannot be a harbinger of talent anymore because their borders are closed because of the skirmish with Ukraine, and it looks like World War II is shaping up. So I'm going to keep myself out of the political arena, keep my damn mouth shut. I tell you, every day brings a new learning experience. Okay, okay. So the double-sided tape is not going to set. I don't know why I'm doing that, but what we're going to do next is also very exciting. I'm going to set these tools down up top here, kind of clear up the workspace up here. That down. I can go ahead and return that cutting disc. Before I do anything else further with this rocket, I just wanted to show you something I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about it. You know, folks, if you try hard enough, you can save yourself a whole lot of money. People try to make you think you need this, and that. You know, tools are so well designed these days, they can be dual purpose. I saw a Russian individual on YouTube make, I kid you not, a wood lathe, a perfectly good working wood lathe out of a 3/4 inch grinder and a punch of wood and some spray paint. And he made it look professional. People who are in countries that are impoverished or either have limited resources or access to all these elaborate tools, unlike the United States, they have to be creative. And if you're creative, you're inventive. You create stuff from other things. I kind of tend to do that because I'm always perpetually broke or poor. I'm hoping to turn that around, but limited involvement in this particular system thing, which I have no business being in. But I want to, you know what, let's lay down the glue, and then from there, we can worry about other things. But I'm kind of thinking, hold on, let me do something. Let me try something else. Instead of trying cyanoacrylate, I tell you, research and development is ongoing. But we are going to make this rocket fly. I'm not throwing out this airframe, because of course it is my wish. I see that too. Doggone it. Okay, so one of these motors is mounted off axis. Crap. Oh well. No, that's worse. Ah, crap. It's this one. More than likely. I was positive it's this one. Well, I'm just gonna have to settle with it at this point. So here we go. We're gonna use this clear adhesive, and we're gonna lay our business down in this valve. This adhesive also beads up like a silicone sealant. So let's see if we can do dual purpose this and eliminate another manufacturing step. Yeah, this stuff looks like it's going to replace cyanoacrylate and the filler, adhesive filler that I use to fill in the gaps and even up the pant legs, etc. and so forth. It looks clear RTV silicone, adhesive and sealant. Okay, so it is dual purpose. You know, you start discovering this stuff when, you know, mother is a necessity. Mother necessitates invention. And necessity is the mother of invention. And that is so true, because if nobody else has it and you need it, guess who's stuck with inventing it? That would be you. Then you're going to find that out. It's one of life's more humorous and enjoyable journeys, but it can be frustrating at first. Don't let yourself get wrapped up in human politics and crying and complaining to people because they just aren't as creative as you are. Okay, so I'm thinking that's going to look marvelous. provide a smooth, seamless valley. And I want to do that on the other side. I just don't think I have enough of that material. But I can always conclude the video, go to 99-cent store up the street and get some. So here we go. Oh, by the way, I'm still working on my Amazon account. The reason I had a problem with them is I didn't upload the documents in a format that they could accept. They wanted digital format, not photo capture format. And I agree with them. Amazon, I've said this before, the premier selling platform for individuals and individual online retailers, such as myself. This will be for sale on Amazon if we don't get around to test flying it. And I think Jeff Bezos is a swell fella. It's just because of them, because of their popularity, they really strict on security. And I'm just trying to work things out with them right now. It's taken a while. All good things come to those who work at it, but any much more effort, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm just gonna kind of wave off. If they're too much trouble, I'm just gonna go ahead and bow out. But there you go. Oh, I have trouble opening the stupid window because it hasn't been mounted properly. Hold on. Here. Okay, I hope the neighbors aren't disturbed by me upstairs. Okay, so I'm gonna let this one side dry because if I set it down, top this is gonna create a mess. Well, folks, right, let me see, here we go, there's a towel right here. Silicone can always be, at least a little bit frustrating to deal with. It's a messy material. You have to mind your P's and Q's. Let me open this up, see if I can get one more string and bead out of it. If not, I'll just have to go to 99-cent store and get some more. Well, yeah, no, we're coming up short. That's it. That's all I'm gonna get. You really do get what you pay for it. You gotta be careful. So, and that's it. That's as far as it'll go. Look at that. Try to leave as little on the hull as possible. Okay, so I covered part of it. I'm gonna have to stand this thing upright. Let the stuff dry. Oh boy. I'm seeing what else. No, I'm hungry. The cats are trying to get their late night nap in. See if you can make sense of that one. And I need to get more silicone sealant. So at this point in time, I think, let me see what I can do. Let's just, because this has to dry. But the thing is, before this sets up and dries here, I need to get more sealant to put it on to lay it down on both sides and then stand it up. Then I'm going to move on to the concept and the transition concept, whereby, oh wow, oh my goodness, oh this stuff is setting up already. Hold on. Okay, never mind. All right. Well, it's not absolutely perfect. One of my goals is tonight to fix these two units and to fix the lower half of the fuselage up here. And I guess it's just going to go ahead and be flush, the top two bodies. But after that, I'm still going to have to figure out a recovery system. This body tube is going to be too narrow for avionics, to be perfectly honest. And that's okay, I'll just have to figure something out. That's what engineering is all about. Engineering and design. Industrial design engineers, they come up with stuff that's artistic and creative, put it down on a piece of paper and say, how about that? They give it to the engineering engineers, the number crunchers, the computer analysts, and software engineers, such and so forth, and process engineers, and the bean counters and all that. We'll figure out how we're going to make this work, how much is it going to cost, who is going to buy it. But, the creative ones, the ones that are visual and stylish, have good aesthetic sense. Now I'm bragging about myself, and I don't really have the right to do that. No, they're the industrial design engineers. They're at the lead in the pack. and what they design is what everybody else makes work. So the creative industrial design engineering is a sport team. So it kind of works like that anyway. At least I think so. So that's that. I'm gonna let these guys set up like that. I have got to get more of that clear silicone before that other side sets up. I don't want to double up on dried and undried silicone. I think that will create an unsightly gap. So at this point in time, I'm calling it. I'm looking at Paxton. He's got his head almost all the way shoved in to the base of the cord for the drill. I wanted to show you, but if I move it, we'll disturb Paxton's slumber. Of course, Valencia's curled up right next to them. They really do act like brother and sister. Valencia I got from another woman somewhere between Stanton and Anaheim. And Valencia is a nice little girl, but I think she was abused by men as a kitten, and she has some trust issues. I had her as a like a 2-month-old kitten, but the men in her house, they just abrupt and gruff. I don't think they had any sympathy or compassion for small animals. They come from a different culture. It's not good or bad. It's just not a really healthy environment for a little black female kitten. And I think one of the ladies in the house realized that, which is why they wanted to give her away. I got her off of Craigslist. I've taken her into my arm, and so far, she has been a treasure. And Paxton and I are getting closer too. Paxton's a man's man, but he loves his sister too. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna shut it off. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.